Okay guys, this is kind of an aid for you to do for the class of economics 200, and it will be really helpful because most of the students complain about it's really hard, so I'm trying to make this video to help you guys learning as well, me as well, because I will go through this video and learn about the quizzes and the parts of the class of Econ 200. Okay, so before I start to do the quiz, I would like to introduce a little bit about the things that you need to do for the thing that you need to do and the thing you need to know for the first quiz. Okay, so we got three things. The first one is demand curve. The demand curve is the curve that you should draw on the graph based on the demand purpose. And also we have another thing which is supply curve. The supply curve is almost the same thing as demand curve, but this one is all about the supply that a company or someone need to supply to the customer. And also we have one thing is equilibrium. Okay, so this thing really important because it includes all in the what do we call, all in the graph. So for demand curve we call it the D curve, and supply curve is S curve, and equilibrium is just letter E. Okay, and how do you draw the graph? I will explain what is E in the graph and you will understand it. Equilibrium basically is something that equal. Yeah, it's really, yeah, if you see the graph you will know. Okay, so here you got two lines. This one mostly in econ, based what I see so far, you don't do this arrow, you just draw without them. And this line, we start from 0 as well, and this line is called quantity, and we call it Q line. And while this line without the arrow, we put the price usually, and we call it P line. Okay. So this P line is all about the price, while this Q line is all about the quantity. And how do we do this? First, we need to draw the curve of demand. Demand means that they need. So we think that how do we draw the demand curve? The demand curve, in these two kind of curve, we only draw the one that's upward and downward. So it means that either it's D or S. One is curve down, one is curve upward. So the demand, we need to think. In demand, if you set the price, this one is high. If you set the price higher, so people demand less. So they need less. Here is less, and the price higher. Which means the higher the prices, the less of the quantity that they need. While when the price goes down, the quantity that they need will be more. So the curve of demand should be like this. This is D. While the supply curve, which means that when the price goes up, when the price goes up, the quantity goes up as well. Which means when they start here, they go up. This is supply curve. Okay, so the supply curve is here. So next one, we will see where is the E is. So the E, just like I said, it is all about equal. So there's one place that the supply and the demand is the same thing, which is the intercept of these curves. So it's here, and the E is here. Okay, so this is equilibrium, supply curve, demand curve. It is always like that in any case. Okay, so this is just the introduction to the graph. Okay, so next one I need to tell you as well. So in economic curve and graph, we do like this. When something increase, the curve move to the right. For example, if the supply increase, then it moves to here. It would move here. Okay? If the demand curve increase, then it moves here. Okay? And if it is decrease, then it moves to the left. Which means if the supply curve decrease, it moves to the left. If the demand curve decrease, it moves to the left here. Okay, so basically this is just introduction to what you need to know so far for your next quiz. Okay, so I hope that it will help you. Okay, so let's move on to the quiz. Okay, now let's look on the quiz one. The part one, they ask what happens to the equilibrium. So they want to know about the E. What happened to it? Okay, so all we need to do is just draw an arrow, a down arrow, or a question mark. This one should be increase, this one should be decrease, and this one should be you don't know. IDK. Okay, so they have in the box here, they want us to take a look at this. So they want to know about the price and the quantity. Quantity move or don't know. Okay, so the first question, they want us to shift either supply or demand. However, we need to know which one move and what happens to the E. Okay, so in the first part of the part one, we see the first question, the demand increase. Okay, so now take a look at this. Demand increase. So you don't need to do anything. All you need to do first of all is to draw out your your graph, and that graph must contain two things, just like what we did. This one is P, this one is Q. This one up, the down, this one is up. The one up is S, the one down is D. Okay. So just because this is you can just draw it by yourself, and doesn't mean the D can should be here or whatever. Just draw wherever you want. So put it here. This one is E, right? Okay. Then you move it here. This one is E0. E that you put it by yourself, right? Okay, E0. If you drop the line down to the Q line, you will get Q0. If you drop the line on P line, you got P0. Okay? So, the first question asks you to do the demand increase. The demand increase, which means, just like what I told you, the demand increase means that the demand curve move to the right. So you move the demand curve here, and you got new equilibrium. And you do this, and you do this. It is Q1 and P1. So you compare to the 0 and compare to the 1, and you will know what arrow you should draw. From P0 to P1, it is an increase. From Q0 to Q1, it is an increase. So the answer is increase. So the answer is P here, Q here. So the first one is going up and going up, like that. Okay, so that is the first part. Okay, now look at the second part. The second part, you've got the demand decrease. So you do the same thing. The demand decrease. So the demand decrease is Q here, P here, so 0 here. So you draw just a simple one as D. This is E0. You draw here Q0. This one is P0. Okay, they said that the demand decrease, so it's moved to the right, the left. So it should be here, and you got new equilibrium. You put it here, and this P1, Q1, and as you can see, it decreases. Okay. Okay. So next one. We got supply increase. So you do the same thing as this one, because all you need to do is draw a graph, and the graph will tell you everything. Okay, so basically this is E0, and you draw it here, so it's Q0, P0. So this one is supply increase. So when it is increased, it moves to the right. So it's here. Okay, so and you put it here. I forgot to do this. It's a S1. D1. So S1 give you E1, and you do the same thing. You got Q1 and P1. So P0 to P1, it is decrease. Q0 to Q1, is increase. Okay, next one. P and Q, you get 0 here, and you just draw 2 lines S and D. This is the old equilibrium. You've got Q0 and P0 and stuff. And then the last question is supply decrease, so it moved to the left. So supply decrease, you got E1 and drop the line here. It's P1, Q1. So compared to the 0 to 1, the Q decrease. However, P goes up. And that is the answer for the first part of the part 1. Okay? Okay, so now let's move on to the next part of part 1. Okay, so this time it's simultaneous shift in both supply and demand. So it means that we removed both curves in the graph. Just it's not like the first one that we did. So okay, so all you need to do is still the kind of stuff. It's P and Q and 0, and you just draw 2 lines, and you got an equilibrium A0 here, and you got quantity, and you got price. Okay, so demand and supply both increase, which means both curves move to the right. So here's the S and the D, move to the right. So the demand curve move to the right. It's here, and yeah, it just draw more because we don't know how it shifts. So we just draw. And also supply, we see that it moved to the right, so it's here. Okay, so let's take a look at this and what will happen to the price and what will happen to the quantity. So we can clearly see that this is Q0 here, Q0, the line is here. So when you drop the new equilibrium down the line of Q, you will see that it always, because all the equilibrium is here. Okay, the intercept here. So when you drop it down the line, you will all see that it is bigger than the Q0. It means that it is somewhere here, Q something. Okay, but it's all in front of here, so it means that the Q always increase. It's all here. If you compare that, you can just see that it is increasing. However, there's some problem in the P, in the price. For example, the demand curve is here, and the supply curve and the demand curve meets here, and you got a new equilibrium here. And if you move along it here, and you drop it here, as you can see, it still increased for this one. However, you see this one increase. But don't write your answer here yet, because I will explain you should not. And if you use this one as the thing that it shifts, it goes here. The P is here, so it goes up. However, the Q is still on the place. It's still moving forward. It's increased. So here you've got up and down. So it can be here, it can be here, whatever, because it just shift. Didn't say shift for 2 point something, I don't know. So it can be increasing and it can be decreasing. So the answer for this is question mark. Got it? Okay, so next one. you've got P and you've got Q, and you've got two line, two curved, S and D. In this case, we studying the demand and supply both decrease, so the both line would move to the left. Demand left, 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 left. Supply left, left, left. Okay, this is your equilibrium zero. So what you can see is that it's all in here. If you drop this one, it's Q0, P0. Okay, so it is the same thing. However, you can see this is the line of Q0, and all the equilibrium here and here and here are all behind this one. It's not in front of that, it's just behind this one. So it means that if you drop any of the equilibrium down the Q line, it is still decreasing. So the answer is decrease. However, for the P is the problem here. If you choose this one, it goes up. But if you choose this one, it goes down. So the answer for this is question mark. Got it? Okay, so next one. We have the demand increase and supply decrease. So we do the same thing, and yeah, we do the same thing, and we've got the E0 here. Okay, so let's see, this is S and this is D. So the demand increase, so the D curve move to the right, so it move here, and supply in decrease, so it's not moving here, it's moving here. Okay, so we drop the line as the place that we would compare. It's all here. Okay, so what you can see is that the P0 is the line of P0 here, and all the equilibrium is all up there, up from P0. So it means that the P always increase. However, the Q, if you choose this side, it goes up, and if you choose this side, it goes down. So the answer for that is question mark. The last one, we've got last one, Q and P, S and D. Is E here, E0. Okay, so next, let's move on to the next part. It's the demand decrease or increase, and the supply increase or decrease. So basically they want to know which curve would change and how would they change, increase or decrease, based on the changes listed in here. Okay, so all we need to answer is just the increase as in decrease or whatever. Okay, so the first one is increase in income for normal good. So for example, for a normal good, just like just simple phone, so yeah, simple phone. So people like kind of they get more, they get paid more, so they have a lot of money to buy those kind of good, and those kind of good has been really on the market for a long time. So when it is on the market and they buy just normal, because it is normal good that people just buy it, so when they get paid more, so they want more, therefore the demand increase for that product. And then, so next one, we have increase in price of a complement good. So I would like to explain the complement good. So what is complement good? Complement good, basically, this is an example, a best example for that is the printer and ink. So you just both like kind of thing, it needs to be together in order to print it out something. So for example, increase in price of ink. So the ink now is $1,000, while the photocopier is just like kind of $500. So the price for the ink is now increased. So people would not buy the ink more, which means they don't want to use that photocopiers more. So the ink is now expensive, they don't want to buy it, so the demand decrease. Next one, so more customer. So more customer, so what happens to more customer? Here, you please don't confuse about when you have more customer, they will demand more, so that we need to supply more. So we don't think this way, we just want to choose one curve only. So more customer, you got more customer. So for example, this ECON last time they have only 10 customer, and then but now like suddenly like 100 customers want to buy this air conditioner. So they want to buy, so we need more, which means it's demand increase. Okay, so next one, worker salary go up. So we don't think here as income. If it's related to income, so we think it different way. So this one is workers salary goes up. We think it from the supplier perspective. So you need to pay them more. So if like you own a company and you need to pay them more, it's now $1,000 and something, and you need to pay them more. So when you need to pay them more, it will cost you a lot of money. So which means you want to stop paying them, which means you want to stop hiring them and stuff. So they will think about that, and which means the supply will goes down. Okay, next one, the new technology lowers the cost of production. So the new technology has nothing here, but it tells that the cost of production is now down, so it lowers the cost of production. So what will happen by then? So the cost of production is now cheap, so the supplier would supply more because it's now cheap, so I need more than that. Before, like it's expensive last time, so you can just produce only 50 and stuff, but now it's now cheap, so you produce 100 and 200 and stuff, so the supply increase. Okay, next one, business firms think output prices will go up significantly in the future. So the price will go up in the future. The price will go up in the future. So what do you think it will happen now? Okay, so the price will go up in the future as a business. Okay, so as a business person, they would not sell it now. They would put it, save it up and save it and sell that later. Because in the future, the price will go up. So for now, the supply will decrease, which means they will sell it later. Okay, so next one, decrease in price of a substitute good. So let me explain what substitute good is. Substitute good would be the best example to explain this would be Coca-Cola and Pepsi. So it's almost the same thing. So for example, the decrease in price of Pepsi. So the Pepsi fee now is just you can just buy it for kind of how do I say it? So just for example, the Coca-Cola is just 2,000 real, and Pepsi is now 1,000. So the decrease in price of Pepsi would lead to something. What will happen? So the decrease in price of Pepsi. So on the stance of Coca-Cola, what would you do? You would what would you do? It's just what will happen to your product. They will demand less. So because Pepsi is now cheap, so people are going to buy the Pepsi one and not going to buy the Coca-Cola one. So the demand for the Coca-Cola is decreased. Okay, so next one, the decrease in income for inferior good. So inferior good, I would like put an example for cheap phones. So the decrease in income, the cheap phones is people just buy it. People just keep buying it because it's cheap, and suddenly you get paid less, so you make like small amount of income. So it forces you to buy the cheap phone as well. So the decrease and the demand increase. The consumer believe that the product price will fall significantly in the future. So this is what we think about what will happen now. So price in the future will fall. It will be cheaper. So the consumer would save it and buy it later. So what will happen to now? The demand from the consumer will of course decrease. And that is the second part. Okay, so let's move on to the third part. You use the schedule to help you to draw the curve for each curve, and they said that the current price now is $7. So this one is just price and QD and QS. Okay, so we have the curve here as well, but the first question we don't use that. Okay, so I told you that equilibrium is the same thing. It runs at the intercept between the S and D, which means the QS and QD is the same thing. So it's $7. You can just look at up here. The price is $7. The QD is 13. QS is 7, which is not equal. So the answer is not, and because it is not equal to each other. Okay, so next one. If $7 is not an equilibrium price, how much is the excess supply or excess demand? Okay, excess supply and excess demand. So we'll try to solve this. Okay, just draw a new one. P and Q and O. Okay, so just assume that, because let's just look at the 7th one. Okay, and then you just draw it on the line. You've got 7 here and 7 to here is 6, so it's almost the same distance, so just 13 here. Okay, so the price is the same here, $7. Okay, so demanded must curve here. You can just draw a line here and then it's here, and $7 with the quality demand, the quality supplied is here. Okay, so demand must go down. Demand. Supply goes up. Okay, so the equilibrium is here. Okay, so they say that how much is the excess supply and excess demand. Excess supply and excess demand is between here. So here you can see it moved forward to the demand. It moved forward to the demand because the 13 one is from the line of the curve of demand. So here the question, or it's either supply or demand. So the answer here is we have excess demand. Excess demand. And the answer is here. It's 13 minus 7 and it's 6. The excess demand is 6. Okay. So next one. If 7 is not an equilibrium price, what do you expect to happen into the price? So of course it's not an equilibrium price. So they're trying to make it equal, which means to reach the real equilibrium. If you look down to the schedule, you have the price of 10, QS and QD is equal to 10 together, so they are trying to get to the 10, which means they're trying to get to the E here. So the current price is talking about the 7. So what do you expect to happen to the price? It will goes up. Try to go to the E, which is 10. Okay, so its price in the future goes up. For the next question,